Good evening, everyone. Welcome to MB Motorsport, accelerated by Blue Square. Instagram Live. Yet again, we're rolling into another week of lockdown. Last week, we had Esme Hawkey on, which was great. Our female driver, part of the team. And good to hear from her and her views. And excited to see what she does in the Porsche Carrera Cup Series. This week's a little bit different. So let's talk about this guy. You can see him in the bottom of the screen there. I see you've done your hair for us, mate.
Be nice. Be nice.
So, anyway, he is a great friend of mine. Not only a great friend, he was the best man at my wedding. He's also been a former racing driver at the highest levels. He is also very well known for being a certain Stig from the Top Gear show, as I think many people will know that show for sure. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce Mr. Perry McCarthy.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's been a live stream.
I knew this was going to go like this. Listen, let me just start with this. Your daughter Freddie is getting up in the middle of the morning in Singapore to watch this live, so you need to behave. So let's just get that one straight.
Hi, Fred.
Right, there you go. All right.
You didn't tell me that.
No, it's not secret information. Anyway, why don't you tell everybody how we actually first met?
Yeah, you just can't get over this one, can you? You just keep bringing it up.
Well, come on.
I was on track, newly crowned Dunlop Star of Tomorrow champion, I might add, in my little black Van Diemen going around, and suddenly there was this kid in a car, and I thought he looks pretty good, so I better lay some manners on him for the future. So I think as I come alongside you, I'll just give you a couple of little bumps, just to make sure you knew at that time who was the boss.
Well, you gave me a couple of little bumps. Is that how you're going to put it?
It was only gentle.
No. Let's just get it straight while we're on the subject. Yeah, we were at Brands Hatch on the bottom straight, and we're probably doing about 120 miles an hour. And you come alongside me and start banging wheels. Yeah, which I thought was pretty out of order. Yeah, and at that point, I had to get out of the car shaken up. I've never been right since.
Well, I will say you've had a couple of bigger bumps since then. What comes to mind is Rio. Anybody with a neck any smaller than yours would have been dead 15 times over.
Well, we can match that, because I do remember a certain person having a massive accident at Alton Park.
Yeah, that was good. That crash at Alton Park was so big, they actually stopped the race at Silverstone.
Well, right. I'm going to get this one out of the way, because I know at some point during this it's going to come up. Just tell everybody about the book.
What you mean? My book, Flat Out, Flat Broke, normally $9.99, published by Haynes, available in a cookbook shop near you, but going very well on Kindle. That one?
Exactly that one. Yeah.
No, actually, it's going really well. We sold another copy just last month. To be quite honest, the book was it was really cool. Actually, I'm quite proud of it, because it was, as you know, it's we all have our ups and downs coming through this game, and I think it encapsulated a lot of my story and keep trying to keep fighting. But obviously, you featured in it an awful lot, as well as our other close friends, and I think I'm proud of the book, and I'm proud of our little pack of friends, how we drove and where we got to, and the fun that we've had. And I think the book was able to encapsulate that, and of course some of the real, tragic and downsides as well. But and it really is delightful. It is quite touching, actually, how many people around the world obviously have really enjoyed it.
Listen, joking aside, I think it's an incredible achievement that you've done the book. I have read it, not just looked at the photographs. I did read it. Yeah.
It's the only book you've ever read.
Exactly, you know me. And actually, I have seen actual people reading it on the beach. When I've been on holiday, I've been quite surprised that you are global.
I'm even more mega than you.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who don't know, that's Mark's nickname, Mega.
Well, maybe you should touch on that, because that's quite an interesting point that you mentioned about the Rat Pack, because our generation of drivers, I think a lot of people who know us from back then know that there is a little group of us that are nicknamed the Rat Pack. You're a major player inside that, King Rat, and maybe you can give an insight to that group, but also all of our nicknames, because we've all got nicknames, as you well know. I'll start with yours, by the way, just so we get that one done. So Perry's nickname is Mad Dog McCarthy. All right, and the others are called.
Well, Damon is Secret Squirrel.
Damon Hill, Secret Squirrel.
Because he always kept his cards close to his chest and we never knew what he was doing. Johnny Herbert, Litland, for obvious reasons. Julian Bailey, Grumpy, because he can often be grumpy. And Martin Donnelly, your man. Because every time he would ever mention somebody, he'd prefix it with, hey, what about your man? Your man. By the way, that was supposed to be in a Northern Ireland Belfast accent. Probably didn't hit the mark. So anybody in NI, please forgive me. It's my closest I could do to Martin Donnelly. And of course, you, Mega, because you love mega cars, mega watches, mega suits, mega restaurants, mega everything. So you're Mega. Yeah. I think that what was so highly unusual about us little lot is that we kind of pretty much all kicked off at the same time. And if we were to look at any championship nowadays, goodness gracious, you're lucky if one person gets through from that championship every 6 or 7 years. I mean, you know, the fact is that from our 6, we all made it into Formula One. Clearly, of course, my career in Formula One was like, you know, I only just made it into F1. But, you know, we all kind of came through together, and Formula Ford and a bit of 2000. Obviously, you did a good bit of 2000. Formula 3, Formula 3000, F1. And we were racing against each other so much. But the lovely thing is, even though it was our careers and our livelihoods and our hopes and dreams rested on it all, we'd all still go out afterward for a beer. And I think the special thing is we've all been able to make each other laugh. And I think really we've all looked after each other's backs quite a lot. Even though we're obviously super competitive.
I think that's true, pal. And I think because that small group, as you say, we all had a target, we all had a goal, and we got there, and we all got there on merit. And you know, to be fair, I think it is quite different these days. It's quite different to actually pick out a group of guys that you can see are going to make the journey. And so, you know, the old cliche of looking back and talking about, you know, when you get old and those stories, but it is reflective on what used to be able to be possible back then, and we all did get there in different ways. Some of us did better than others. I mean, our mate Damon Hill just went that one step further.
Just a little bit further, yeah.
Just a bit further. I mean, he had to do it, didn't he?
Yeah.
But you know, the lovely thing about all of that is that we still now, all of us, we all do talk. We all meet at least once a year.
Totally.
When we all gather, and thanks to you, because 9 times out of 10 you're the guy who puts it all together. The group's the group's a little bit bigger now, huh?
It's not 9 times.
No,
it's 10 times out of 10.
Well, all right, it's 10 times out of 10. You're the organizer, and the group is a little bit bigger these days. But it's fantastic that we all do get together. I think it's really enjoyable. All of us, although the stories are pretty much the same year on year.
Yeah, but we all get faster. Actually, I just saw somebody talking about the group getting bigger. Somebody just mentioned something. I just saw it come up that they thought Johnny Butte was part of the Rat Pack. Well, he is. You know, Johnny Dumfries, Johnny Butte. Because, as you said, the Rat Pack got a little bit bigger. I think our first additional one that didn't kind of come up with us, he was already there, was Marty Blundell, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, Marty's there, but
yeah.
Marty's a bit older, as we know. I mean,
well, clearly, you know. But mind you, though, after saying that, I don't know if you've noticed, Marty hasn't got a grey hair on him.
Anyway.
But of course, and then we've got Derek, you know, Derek Warwick. We've extended it out to Jace Plato and Steve Soper. And also more recently, last 3 years or so, is JP, Jonathan Palmer.
That's right, and we're still
It's
trying
always
to get
good value.
we're still trying to get him to pay the lunch bill.
Yeah, no, that would be, yeah, I think we'd be waiting a long time on that one. but it's great because it's like crikey, when you consider that table's experience, it's pretty cool. And of course, you know, with Dell and JP, it's just free for all, isn't it? There's nobody's got an ego at that table. They can't afford to have, because it will certainly get pricked fairly quickly.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, everyone's pretty good about things, and to be honest as well, what's great is that in many, many ways, I'm glad you're still on the refreshments. Yeah, in many ways, it's kind of cool that everyone's still connected to the sport in one way or another. I mean, I know you're still part and parcel of it in several ways. I know you go out and do a lot of the public speaking, and you know you've got that side of your career now that you are very good at. By the way,
Thank you.
Yeah, some of the jokes are a bit tricky, but we'll move
on.
I
did one the other night. The crowd were with me all the way. I managed to shake them off by Macclesfield.
hey, listen, there's a couple of there's a lot of questions for you actually, but there's a question for both of us. Adrian King's asked it. So, in retrospect, what were the best and worst decisions you made in your careers?
I don't know. Can you think of any?
I'm amazed. I'm trying to understand how come it's taking you so long to think about that.
Well, it's because there's just so many bad ones. I'm just trying to order them, you know. I probably could have done without my little temper. Probably that might have helped me in a number of situations.
Well, we have said this over the years. I mean, you got the fuse of a firework, which is not
you're
helpful.
Far behind. Don't worry about that.
And you know, I'm calm. I'm collected. But no, maybe at times it's gone against you. I would say, but then we all lose it now and again. Listen, I think sometimes when I reflect back, if I'm honest, it's actually I've been too loyal. I haven't taken the opportunity that was in front of me, which actually would have furthered my career.
The trouble is, though, Mark, is that I've kind of thought about this as well, because I know the kind of bloke you are. Is like, you know, a handshake's a handshake, your word's your bond, you're a proper bloke. I like to believe I am as well. That does have an awful lot of other benefits as well. So you can't pick and choose on when to, like, you've either got that in your nature that you're just going to, you know, do whatever it takes and upset everybody going or whatever. If it's a terribly clear-cut thing and everybody can understand it, then you make the right move if that's open. But I think that what we both really have adhered to is that, you know, when you sign for a team, when you're riding for a team, you don't let anybody down. That's including yourself. And I think that to go against your own principles, really, that's well, you wouldn't have been able to do it because it's just not you.
No, I guess you're right, and I think we come from the same sort of outlook on that side of things.
You wanted to say cloth, didn't you? But you forgot the word. Cut from the same cloth.
I did. You got me. So, moving on swiftly. Now you've called me out on that one. Further questions for you, mate.
Oh.
And this one's actually, I think this is more relevant to like Top Gear when you were the original Stig.
Yeah.
Do you want to just show people what you looked like when you were the Stig?
Yeah.
That's it. They've got you now.
Similar to that. Look, moon landing.
Well, of course, you were never allowed to speak on the Top Gear show, was you? Which wasn't that a contractual thing? Was you actually written into a contract you could not speak?
Yeah, I mean, they had the idea. You remember when we was at the book launch, my book launch?
Your book launch, yeah.
Yeah, in 2002. It was there. Jeremy said, hey, listen, we need to catch up. We're bringing Top Gear back. Because back then it had been off air for quite a long time. And then they started talking and saying, hey, listen, we've got this idea for a secret racing driver and you're not going to say anything, etc. And he said, because the first Stig, as you know, was in black, me, and he said, you're going to wear black gloves, black overalls, black boots, black crash helmet, a black visor, and we're going to call you the Gimp. I said, No, you're not. No. And they were really insistent. They wanted to call me again. And I said, no. And then finally it ended up with a Stig. And I said, that's cool, you know. So,
where did the Stig come from, Lou? Was it? It wasn't actually Stig Blomqvist, was it? The rally?
No.
No.
There's
a lot of people say that.
Yeah, no. The Stig came. They wanted a character name. And Jeremy Clarkson and Andy Willman used to go to the same school.
Right.
And it was a public school. And you know when you get that kind of John Brown school days thing going on, where the new kids come in and the older kids, you know, make them lick their shoes or do a load of atrocious, horrible things or whatever. Yeah. And then, well, no, I don't worry. I went to Langdon Comprehensive. Yeah, so we just used to beat the living daylights out of each other. Forget licking the boots, you know. You only licked a boot if you had one in your face. But that was how they treated their young incoming pupils, and they had a name for them. And because they thought they were useless, they used to call them Stigs. Right. So because Jeremy thinks that racing drivers have got no value whatsoever, he then thought that was a good word. I thought it was a lot better than the GIMP. So I thought it was a good gag, and I went, yeah, let's do it. Give me a second. I need to try and prop this phone up.
I would agree on the name for sure, mate. Yeah, because you don't look like a GIMP, but you look like a Stig.
That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
No, I know. Anyway, the question was from Karen Fetchy. I forgot your name wrong. I apologise, Karen. What is the most exhilarating supercar you've ever driven on the track?
On the track?
Yeah. Did you drive that many? You did drive quite a few supercars, didn't you, on the Top Gear show?
Yeah, I think the Pagani was lively.
The Zonda?
Pagani Zonda.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's cool. But give us a second. I'm going to take this charger out because this phone keeps moving.
Yeah, no, because I'm getting seasick.
So am I. Oh, for God's sake.
So the Zonda was what?
Aha!
Was that a V12, a manual gearbox, yeah? That was a bit of a beast back then.
No, it was a flip. It was paddle change.
Was it?
Yeah, and we had.
Are you sure? Because I think you're a lot older than that. I don't think they had paddle shift back then. I don't.
Yeah, well, there was a Model T Ford that I test drove before it went into production. I'm so old they've just cancelled my blood type.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the Pagani was that was pretty lively. I'd tell you one that I did do was an F40. I was walking along the pit lane once, and there was a guy there out in his F40, and he was taking all his friends for a little ride. Now, I'd seen this guy go past, and he really was slow, you know? So all of a sudden he's recognised me, and he said, "Oh, Perry, would you like to come in?" and everything. So I said, "Okay, fine," you know? So I was about to jump in, and he said, he said, "I'll drive." So I said, nah. He went, "Oh, you drive?" I went, "Yeah, okay." So anyway, I've jumped in, and this was at Donington, and he started off with his video camera, and I was giggling to myself, thinking, that's going to be interesting, because by the time I come out the pit lane and got to turn one, him and his camera were in the footwell. So then I've absolutely, this thing, that F40, have you driven one?
No,
F40.
no.
Jesus. Wild. I mean, wild. You know, you could steer it from the back in like third, you know? Like flat out, and the torque could break away, and it's really wild. So I'm having the time of my life. Absolutely bang, bang, bang. Now, I've done about 3 laps, and I haven't heard a word from this bloke. He's gone into plank mode in the passenger seat. Come in, and he couldn't even talk. And we've got out the car, and suddenly the thing's gone, all steam and rubbish coming out the car. The car's just looked at me and gone, ah. Engine gone.
No.
He said, I don't know what to say. He said, I've never experienced anything like that in my life. He said, but you've just, my car. I only did 3 laps, mate. It's supposed to be an F40. So anyway, I kind of got out of Donington fairly rapidly after that.
You know what? That just reminds me of something. So you were best man at my wedding. Yeah?
What?
You were best man at my wedding.
Of course.
Right. So do you want to just say about the wedding car? Do you remember? Do you remember the story?
You tell it.
No, I think you should say. No, you should
sorry,
say
no.
it. Let
You
me just
tell
set
the
it up.
story.
I had been given as my wedding car because this was 1995 and I was racing for McLaren at the time. So Ron Dennis gave me to use an F1 McLaren road car, which was, you know, the 3 seats. And I mean, back then it was what, a £650,000 car? Now a $20 million plus car. So, yeah. What did you go and do? You went out just before the wedding and tested it, didn't you?
Well, I wanted to make sure you was going to get to the church okay. So anyway, you was taking ages getting changed with your top hat and towels and everything else, and I got bored waiting. So I went out in the McLaren and with Mark Jr., wasn't it?
Yeah, with my oldest son, yeah.
Yeah. When it was cracky, how was Mark then? He was about 10, wasn't he?
He was young enough and silly enough to get in the car with you, so that tells you how old he was, yeah.
And so anyway, we had a we had a bit of a whoopsie, didn't we? I didn't ding it.
No, you didn't ding it, but you cost about probably like £7,500 worth of damage. Carbon fibre was broken. The splitter was broken at the front.
Oh no, you're getting the story wrong. No, that's the bloke who delivered it. Yeah, don't you remember? No, it was. I didn't touch a thing. The bloke who delivered it. Yeah, the McLaren F1.
Yeah.
He tried to go up part of your driveway, and there was a curb there, and he caught the bottom lip. Wasn't me. No way.
Really?
Well, wasn't me.
Well, you got the blame for it.
Yeah, well, I'm sure I did by the time he put the story back to Ron. I can imagine Ron being well wrapped about that one.
But did you or did you not spin it?
I half spun, but I caught it brilliantly with cat-like reactions, I might add. Ayrton would have been proud. In fact, I know he was proud.
Yeah, you know, that's the problem with having a 10-year-old in the car. They tell the truth.
Well, it's lucky he was in the car, otherwise I would have been going quicker. But anyway, talking about cars, that thing you had when you first signed for Nissan, when we went out in 1989, 1990, that Nissan GTR. That was cute, wasn't it?
Yeah, me and Julian had one. Me and Julian Bailey had one as our company car. Yeah.
There's 2 times when I thought I was going to die in a road car. One of them was with you when you got that Nissan GTR.
Yeah.
And the other one was when Marty Donnelly signed for Lotus. Yeah. And took me out in his Esprit. And I was just sitting there. I'd gone beyond fear, just thinking, well, we're both dead. It's just a matter of time now. That was it. And he said, "No, go. Oh, whatever thing in this car. It's a Lotus Esprit. It's fantastic." Okay, for God's sake, Martin. Nutball. And you.
You just reminded me of something. Hold on. Have you ever seen that picture?
Jesus, what's that?
That is, and Julian's listening, I'm sure of it, right? That is a rental car that myself and Julian, and I think JB was driving. And we were at Spa, and we were going back to the hotel. And the guy with us was like our masseuse guy, our trainer guy. And anyway, I'm there basically saying to JB, like, JB, you're going too quick. Mate, you're going too fast, right? And there was like this elbow, this corner, yeah? And you could tell that there'd been several accidents there before, you know, like a bit of a danger spot. And lo and behold, like we're ploughing into this corner, and I'm saying to Julian, you're not going to make this. You're not going to make this. Anyway, the guy in the back, the German guy, went into full brace position in between us, in between the seats. And that was the outcome, that photograph. We ended up having a bit of a ding. And the funniest thing was ever that, like, we all just got out of it, me and JB. Okay, that one's destroyed. The German guy in the back was distraught, didn't know what had gone on. And then 2 people came out of a cottage next door. They must have seen this happen a million times. They just came out, made sure we were okay, shook their heads, and went back inside. But that was the rental car, so we had to tell the rental company to come and collect it, obviously.
But I tell you what, though, is that you look back on, you know, all our friendships and everything else, but then when you go racing with your friends, I mean, you know, me and you around the world, the last we've had, with Julian as well. I mean, Julian can be so funny. You know, it's just and that's the great thing. You look back with so much affection on all those times, and you know, Julian was as quick as anybody, wasn't he? You know, it's like all the way through, and he was the first British guy to ever win a Formula 3000 race. Yeah, he won the Formula Ford Festival, didn't he, with the Lola?
Yeah,
and come through. But you know, wheeler dealer. But yeah, it's just brilliant times. It's funny, but everybody's got a slightly different character inside our group, haven't they? But still with that sole commitment to win.
Yeah, but I think that's what makes the group actually a real great one, because we have all got our little nuances. I mean, you know, like you say, Damon, we call Damon Secret Squirrel because he never told anybody anything. Yeah. Johnny is just Johnny. I mean, like Littleton. I mean, Johnny for me is just like, I don't know what Johnny would ever do if he had not have been a racing driver.
It would have been a flag marshal.
It's just, I mean, and I have to say, one of the most talented, naturally gifted drivers I've seen. I mean, fantastic little driver, unbelievable.
No, he was, yeah, he was just great. I mean, I think we were ultimately robbed of where Johnny perhaps could have got to with the terrible crash that he had at Brands Hatch in '88, where, I mean, you know, as you know, Johnny and I were neighbours. You know, we used to live a mile apart, and when he was recovering, he'd often be at my place, and mate, the pain he was going through, and he just kind of wouldn't let on. But I've just seen a notice come up from Bobby's daughter, Jessica Tappin. Our Jess is a brilliant athlete. Commonwealth Games, darling, you are absolutely amazing. And she actually said to me, how did I lose my lovely blonde curly locks? I'm not going to answer that, Jess, but what I will do is I'll see you soon, and you're going to pay for that. I know what you're going to, actually, Jess, I know what you're going to say. It's when me and Dad, wasn't it, were lighting a fire on a job we were on when we were kids, and the thing blew up, and it blew up in my face, but it's a long story. But good luck, Jess. Yeah, we're rooting for you to get to the Commonwealth Games next year.
Yeah.
Running for England. Good
luck, Jess. We hope you make it. You got the support from all of us here.
Totally.
You know, there's a question, right, from Lisa Brabham. So Dave Brabham's missus.
From Lisa?
Yeah, from Lisa. She wants to ask you about the fight that took place at Le Mans.
How can we actually get that story quite across? You donut. It's like, okay, there's, ladies and gentlemen, Mark, Johnny Herbert, and Dave Brabs were all racing for Bentley. And it was me, Mick Asalo, and Frank Bieler racing for Audi. Now, I don't know which mastermind concocted this plan over at your tent, but all of a sudden, Mark was coming up to me going, I'll tell you what, Johnny's getting on my nerves. I'll tell you what, if you don't behave, I'm going to smack him. I'm going, Mark, behave, will you? Just calm it down. Like, you'll get. Now, remember, we're on different teams here. I should be rejoicing that they're not getting on. But I'm going, Marky, calm it down, will you? Like, just bring it down. All of a sudden, after Mark's gone, Johnny had come up to me and going, Mark's really gotten on my nerves. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me. Everything else. He said, like, you know, I'm really not having it. And that's it. I said, John, you know, I'm just so unlike Johnny. I'm going, John, calm it down. All of a sudden, Brabs is then coming out and going, oh, it's like those two, they're really screaming up, something's going to happen here. I'm saying, Brabs, you've got to do something. You can't let them go. That's it. So all of a sudden, we're outside, I think it was outside my one, wasn't it? Out my motorhome. We're having a barbecue. You idiot. All of a sudden, I'm in there getting a few beers out. All of a sudden, I go bang into the side of the truck. I've run round, and there's Mark, of course, and Johnny on the floor, punching, fighting, and everything else. Well, he always has to go at me about this. I've dived in straight on top of Mark because you are like about 4 times stronger than Johnny. I've dived straight on top of you. I'm going, what are you doing? But I do remember what I had heard was kind of slight giggling while he was on top of Johnny, supposedly punching him. And then, of course, everybody was bursting out laughing. It was all a setup. What was the point of that, actually? Was you just bored?
Yeah, basically, we were bored and you were taking too long with the barbecue. So, Anyway,
Hey, I tell you what, if Brabs is listening, I've got a bit of what's going on at the moment because, as you know, I'm full up with something in one of my ears and I can't hear anything. And then from Brabs,
sorry.
when we go for panels, that thing made so much noise. He had the advantage. He was already half deaf.
I can't hear.
I think he's going to do that. I think he's going to do it.
If you remember, I did that to you at Le Mans back in the days when you were doing one of your speeches.
I'm reading something here. Oh, it's Stringy.
It's Scott Stringfellow.
Hey, Scotty boy.
One of our buddies from way back in the day when we were all youngsters, racing in 1984.
Yeah.
Formula 4 1600.
Yeah. And Scotty is now the pace car driver in the British Touring Car Championship.
He is indeed. He is indeed.
Hang on a second. Deitch is on the phone. Julian Bailey's wife. Lisa.
Who's the best driver?
Insta wants to know who is the best driver you've both seen.
Except him.
Does that mean except Julian?
Yeah, I mean, it goes without saying.
Or except
goes without saying.
Who's the best driver we've ever seen?
I'd still have to say Senna.
Yeah.
Which is obvious, but I'd have to just say Senna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's, I mean, you know, my heart says Ayrton, my head might say Michael. You know.
I would disagree with you on that.
Well, I don't know. It's like, I'd probably go for Ayrton.
I disagree with you in terms of like for me, who was the best racing driver on Sunday afternoon, the most pure, and it would be Senna.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you said to me he was maybe like one of the most complete drivers of modern day, then I would say Schumacher because I think the guy was, unbelievably intelligent out of the car in terms of the people that he put together. But, you know, if I had to put a bet on back of the grid to the front, it'd be on Senna all day long.
I was, you spent a lot of time with Ayrton, didn't you, when you was at McLaren? Yeah. I mean, it's like, how did you find him as a bloke? I mean, I knew Ayrton, but nowhere near as well as you did.
Yeah, he was 1% club of the 1% club. I mean, he's like, you know, nigh on touching genius kind of thing. But that was the individual. I mean, he was a special person.
Yeah.
But he had that aura about him, whatever the case may be. Listen, you're one of my best mates. So you know the ordeal that I went through last year, trying to go back in circles in British touring cars. Have you ever considered doing it? Did you ever consider doing touring cars?
There was one time when it was directly after my year in Formula One, they'd completely crashed and burned. And there was a team talking to me about running it, and then for different reasons, the team unfortunately folded. But I looked at it then. I have to say, it probably didn't. It wasn't really part of my own makeup, to be quite honest. I kind of prefer, you know, the top level single seaters or Group C, as we used to have it, or the LMPs. I tell you something that I did, you know, miss out on because we didn't start when this was in vogue. But I would love to have raced Can-Ams.
Yeah.
Those things were overpowered, totally vicious and wild, and I think I would have really, really enjoyed. I massively enjoyed my time in the States, and you did as well, didn't you? Yeah. In fact, talking of which, I was talking to Paul Tracy earlier, and I said that because when did Paul win the IndyCar Championship? 95, 96 or something?
96 rings a bell, but
something like that.
Yeah, I mean, a multiple winner in IndyCar. I mean, a fantastic guy.
You've got to have Mark. You've got to have Paul on one of these things. He's a character.
I'm not sure that we'll be able to
air it.
yeah. We might have to bleep out the expletives, but I mean, actually, Paul now is a very well respected and well known commentator now on US. I think NBC or something, US TV channel, NBC or something, on the sports channel for doing all the IndyCar stuff. He's doing a great job. Yeah,
well, he's going to. I mean, he told me that I didn't know this, but Texas is the first race back next weekend.
That's right. Yeah.
Not this weekend, following weekend, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he said he thinks there might be quite a lot of action, considering the fact that these boys haven't been in a car for 8 months. It's going to be like, about 10 laps practice, and then you're in the race. So with those cars, that should be really interesting. But what did you prefer? Because you had 3 wins in IndyCar. Did you prefer IndyCar or Formula One, or the cars, or the environment, or anything like that, or the tracks even?
Hey, listen, I think at the end of the day, an F1 car, as you well know, there is no substitute. It's the pinnacle of motorsport. In terms of racing a car or driving a car, it has to be, the most pure and finite sort of precision driving needed in terms of every input and an output. If you said to me what was the best racing, I'd say to you IndyCar, because for me it's like doing Formula 4 1600 at 200 miles an hour.
Yeah,
it really was. It had some fantastic races. So and bizarrely winning an oval, a 500-mile oval event for me was a big achievement, because it was so far out of my comfort zone and so far out of the discipline that we'd done 25 plus years learning. And it was like learning a whole new trade, which was frustrating for me, because that's what I couldn't do last year. I could not learn a new trade. But
in defence on that one is that we all know, and I don't think people out there completely realise. They think that there's going to be some drivers that can just jump in stuff, and they've got experience anyway across the board. Somebody I instantly think of actually is my dear friend Abby Eaton. And Abby was, of course, the driver on Grand Tour, and she's got the W Series drive, and Abby's amazing. She's just brilliant. She just jumps in this, but she's on track all the time in all sorts of different things. I think probably not just talking about Abby here, but our own careers were way more focused on coming through single seat top level sports cars, and everything's rear wheel drive. And front wheel drive, as Jason and everybody else will tell us, has got this particular expertise about it. And I mean, what were you off the pace? 0.3, 0.4, 0.5? That's not an awful lot of time across a 2 mile, 3 mile track. It's like that front wheel drive it's just that last tiny little bit. It's difficult.
Well, listen, you're one of my best mates, so I know you're always going to be kind to me, which you are. Let's just round up a little bit, pal. Favourite motorsport memory for you?
Probably knocking 7 bells of daylights out of you when I first saw you on track, really. I think that's probably it.
Thank you.
Favourite motorsport memory for me? I don't know, there's just so many. If we're talking about the personality thing and great times, etc., it's been with you and Julian, and times with Damon and Martin and Johnny. They're really close to my heart, all of those things. I absolutely adored Formula 3000, even though we had zero budget. Adored Formula 3000. America was very good for me. That was again, like doing the old giant killing bit really on that one. And I used to really enjoy that, because we had a tiny little budget going up against the works, Nissan, Jaguar, Toyota teams. And that was great. We couldn't keep winning because they had too much on their side, but we could show them a clean pair of heels in quality, So, and the atmosphere, and this is why I was asking you about the States, because I really loved the atmosphere out there. It was just great fun, and you enjoyed everything about it. So I think that was, I think my favourite ever time really was America. Yeah. Because I was in a little car that, even though we had no money, it wasn't a bad little car. We had a normally aspirated engine, and we were on a lot of street circuits. And this is back when the big boys were using turbos. So I probably had a tiny advantage on them, that my engine was a little more responsive, and my thing was more like a cart, so I could just throw it around and use that. Where, mind you, you went on the wrong circuit against those boys. They come past you at 25 miles an hour. So, what's your favourite bet then?
Listen, I've had so many memories that are favourites in terms of different formulas of racing, friendships that we've made, some friendships that we've lost between us, with people that are not around anymore, which is sad. Yeah. But listen, I I'm going to say massive thank you, because it's always a pleasure to talk to you as a friend and as a former teammate as such, as being on the track at the same time. And I think now we're going to have to go and you've got to refill your glass, but we're all going to step outside and go and I think maybe do the last clap. By the sounds of things, we're on about doing the last celebration for our frontline workers.
Well, thanks for thanking me, but you did say something about money, didn't you, earlier, for me to come on this? Was there something about money?
I knew this would come up. I really did. But send the invoice in.
God bless.
All the best, Perry. Thank you once again, and it's great to see you. But let's go outside now, clap for our frontline workers, the NHS.
Let's start now. Absolutely hats off to everybody. What a team. That is a team. Okay.
Top team. Cheers, buddy.
Hey, Mark. Great to talk to you. Thanks for having me on. Good fun. Give you a buzz tomorrow. Okay. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.